Welcome to Marketplace with Charles, where dreams are turned into reality. Marketplace is brought to you by Art of Skincare, the company that brings out the beauty in you, as well as Guwisa Lodge from deep in the heart of Mabalingwe Nature Reserve. I am Ketiwe Pagati. On Marketplace, we empower as well as equip you with tools needed for you to achieve your entrepreneurial dreams. That is why each week we bring you insights from experts in different fields of business, from men as well as women of faith. So today she is an inspirational speaker, an author, a musician, as well as a poet. Because the African continent, South Africa included, is home to some very talented individuals who unfortunately have no idea that they are talented. And if they know it, then they do not know how to use the talent and make it work for them. Africa is said to be the richest continent in terms of minerals, right? But home to some of the poorest people. But Africans do not know the riches are not just out there, but they're as well as in here. So as an African child, you need to know how to mine the resources from within yourself. It would make all the difference in the world. That is why my guest today is here to talk about personal development, to unearth the hidden gems within each and every one of us. I bid you to welcome Ms. Thuli Mashazi into your home, your hotel room, or wherever you are joining us here on Marketplace today. Thuli, greetings and welcome to Marketplace.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me.
I've listed so many things in your introduction, from entrepreneur to poet to artist. Just give us a brief introduction as to what it is that you offer.
Thuli is a teacher. I think if I say teacher, I have enveloped everything that I do. I'm a poet, I'm an author, I'm a public speaker, I'm a recording artist, but among the most important things that I am, I'm a believer. I believe that there is diamonds in each one of us, and it takes a courage, it takes a daring to discover what is inside you and exploit it to your own benefit.
Now, that's well put, teacher, right? It puts in the poet, the writer, the singer, all of it in one. Now, being that type of artist, right, you have traveled different parts of the world. You have explored Africa to go and perform and minister as a teacher, as you put it in these certain areas of art. So what have you observed from the African child in your travels?
The first observation I made was in me.
Okay.
For many years, I was writing poetry. And I wrote, and I had 3 books full of poems, and I would look at them and wonder why I was writing. I didn't see any value in those poems. I would here and there perform for 1 or 2 people, but it never dawned on me that those poems were gems that I could repackage. I needed wisdom to repackage those poems and make them consumable to anyone. And I've seen so many people, somebody whistling beautifully under a tree, and they think it's just whistling. They don't know that they can package that and it can be consumed the world over. There are so many beautiful things. My mother used to knit, she used to make baskets, she used to make so many beautiful things, but she thought it was just a hobby. She never imagined that she could earn a living from it. And I remember the wake-up call came to me when I was on this radio station, and I can't remember the question that I was asked by the presenter, but the answer I gave was, can anyone out there give me ideas how I can turn this poetry into bread? And from that moment on, I began to pursue, and then stuff began to happen.
Isn't it great how you said that line, help me turn the poetry into bread, but from that moment, you are the one that started pursuing how to turn it into bread, right? You just needed it verbalized to have it out there, outside of yourself. So I know that your view, your perspective of the world over is through the Christian glass or the Christian perspective. Would you say that the poverty within the majority of Africa is justifiable? And if so, why?
There's no justification for poverty. It's never, nobody was born and destined to be poor. I don't think that is a fact. However, we all need to understand that how you become in life is your responsibility. No one has a responsibility over you to take you out of poverty. It remains upon the human being, the individual, to do what it takes to find it within themselves, to work the hours that need to be worked. I discovered that much as I have the gift of poetry, it's up to me how much bread I'm going to make out of this poetry. Once I begin to tap into my gift, there's no person who can decide for me how much I'm going to succeed. And I believe that even the poorest of the poor, they have a gift. They have something inside them that they can live out of.
So you're basically propelling somebody to yearn for change, to yearn to do differently. So how do you help the African person sitting there, hoping to do this change that you speak of, right? But they find themselves in a state where they are plagued with the type of leadership that most African places are?
I think the biggest thought that set me free was realizing that as long as bread and butter are the main thoughts on my head, there was no way I could invest in my talent. And so much of Africa is busy thinking, what am I going to eat next? I think we need to come to a point where, whether I'm hungry or not, if I want to pursue something, I'll pursue it. Okay. If I can take the last 100 rand in my hand and produce something out of it, it will give me more bread in the long run. I think we are too obsessed or too consumed or too preoccupied with the thought of having bread, to the point where we cannot see how much seed we have within us.
We're just looking to eat instead of plant more so you can reap more for the next day. I understand the logic, right? So now someone will say, but I'm in Africa, but I'm in Kenya, but this part of South Africa is not so great. Yes, I hear you, but you can say that because you're sitting in Johannesburg. You know, they can create all sorts of excuses, right? So I want you to simplify the statement that the covenant that God has with man transcends location.
Ecclesiastes says the race is not to the swift, nor the battle to the strong, but time and chance happen to all. And I realized that every country in Africa has a richest man. Even the poorest countries, where poverty is the mainstay, is the daily story, there's a richest man. How did that person come out of that environment? Okay. It takes us realizing that the covenant we have with God is not locational. If each one of us will understand that we are God's image, we are God's creation, we have what it takes, God has gifted us, He will never put us on earth and not equip us for the journey on earth. But once we begin to look away from bread and find the diamond inside of us, we will realize that it doesn't matter where under the sun we are.
So what's the first steps that somebody in an area that's deemed very poverty-stricken, you know, the leadership is very weak, it's not winning for us, and all these stories, and they don't believe what you're saying. They're listening to you, they're hearing you, but they don't believe it. So how do you walk them across that line to believing it and realizing it for themselves as true?
There's a thing called willpower.
Okay.
What you will, what you want, you will get. If you are choosing to not believe, it doesn't matter what I do for you. You could be sitting in the middle of a diamond mine, but if you don't believe that those shiny stones are of any worth, they will not be of any worth to you. So it starts in the mind. That's why I said people need to move their focus from bread and butter to seed. Remember, God gives bread to the eater and seed to the sower. You have to decide whether you're going to be the eater or the sower. But you have it all in your hand.
But there's provision for both, right? You decide on which side of the court you're on. So there is Thuli pre-music albums. There is Thuli pre-poetry publishing. There is Thuli pre-published author. So I want you to explain to us the role of personal development to take you from that Thuli to the Thuli we have now.
Let me tell you about the Thuli pre-all this.
Yes.
Thuli is a fragmented person.
Okay.
Dealt with all sorts of abuse, sexual abuse, emotional abuse, physical abuse, stress, depression, there's all that. And I sat at the bottom, at the lowest point. I began to realize that there must be something above this.
Okay.
This can't be the narrative of my life to the end of my life, because I don't know how long I'm going to live. And imagine this being my life for the rest of my life. And I don't know how long this is going to be. Sure. At that point, I began to say, there must be something. The poems I wrote while I was depressed and suicidal, I began to look at them and think, there must be somebody who would love to hear this. And I remember this first project. I went to the music director at my church and I said, I have my project. please help me. He says, how much do you have in your hand?
That's the poetry album?
Yes.
Okay.
The first poetry album, The Untold Story. Okay. He says, how much do you have? I think I had far from what it takes to make an album. I had next to nothing. And he said, okay, come. We'll see what we can do with it. We had one vocalist changing voices because she offered. I couldn't even afford to pay her. But that's the thing. When you make up your mind, the will that I was talking about, when you make up your mind to say, I want things to change. Once you vocalize it, once you think it, everything, the universe will connive. The sun, the moon, the stars, the wind, the oceans, they will bring resources towards you to make sure that this one thing that you've spoken, it happens.
So you're speaking a lot linked to the analogy, right, earlier on of sowing and reaping and being the eater or the sower. What do you sow in your life now? Because now you're no longer the pre-Thuli. You thank the Lord, right?
Praise the Lord.
Praise the Lord indeed.
I look in the mirror and I say, phew, thank God.
So what methods and means are you using currently now to sow? In what areas are you sowing in?
What I do, I am a speaker. I help people who are like me, who are sitting in situations and in mindsets. You can be in a rich family that is willing and ready to provide. But if your mindset is not ready, it won't help.
Okay.
There's somebody in America right now who lives on the street.
Yes.
There's somebody in Joburg where they say it's the land of milk and money. But they have not seen the milk or the money.
Okay.
So your mindset, once your mind is set on something. So what I do is help people rise up. I am so offended at this bread thing. People like to consume, people want to eat. Yes. All they think about is the next techie I'm going to buy, the next hairstyle I'm going to have. How about investing into yourself? Okay. And sowing into yourself? There's stuff you will have that no one will ever take away from you. Yes. If I could meet a motivational speaker who will help me move from this level that I'm at to another level, I'd pay the money. Yes. Because I know it's going to leave me a better person. And when I get better, everyone around me will get better. Yes. There's no way I can just improve alone.
And right there we put a comma. It's not a full stop. We'll be back after the ad break to get more from you. And viewers at home, don't you go anywhere. Marketplace with Charles will be right back after this. Welcome back and congratulations for staying true to Marketplace with Charles. I'm still here with my studio guest today, Miss Thuli. Thuli, before the break, I put a comma there, not a full stop. Now we're back with a very challenging question. Everything you're saying sounds great and well and smooth, but there's somebody sitting out there saying, but for me to gain access and entry into what I want to be active in, I need the education. So how are you going to help the person who cannot access education because of poverty?
What I will say is that each one of us has a way to succeed. Some will succeed through academics, some will succeed through talents, some will succeed through connections. My point is, what is it that is at your disposal? You cannot sit and say, there's nothing, I'm going to die. Even the 4 lepers realized at some point. Yes. Said, why should we sit here and wait for the day of death to find us? How about we move? If we die on the way, then so be it. Okay. So maybe you need to take a risk and say, there's a man, Lex and Kaira, it's an old story. They say he walked from Zambia to the United States, shipped somewhere and stopped in Egypt, found a library. This is one guy who said to himself, I want to get educated, but I don't know how in this environment. He moved himself out of that environment. I know stories of men who've walked from Rwanda and reached South Africa and they are now doctors. Those are people who are willing to take risks because they understand what they want, the will. They are pursuing, they are hungry for it, they are thirsty for it. They want it so much, they will do anything to get it done. And I think what people need, those who are sitting in places and all they can see is the disadvantage that surrounds them. I think you need to look a little higher. When you look at a donut, don't see what is not there. See, a donut has a circle in it. Some people, all they see is the bread that's missing from that donut. How about you see the bread that is there and the cream that is there and the sprinkles that are there, instead of focusing on the empty space?
So now somebody would listen to you and say, okay, so she's basically saying that you can do all of this without the means of education, without the means of formalized education, rather, should I say.
Education is powerful. Education unlocks things. See, in education, we develop skills that it would take us a longer period to develop those skills in the marketplace.
Okay.
Imagine an accountant learning to count and making mistakes and eventually learning to balance things up without knowing that there is a formula, right?
Yes.
So we will all get there. Education just takes us there smoother. But it's not a guarantee. I know a lot of educated people who still don't know that their education is a key that can unlock certain things for them. So it's all in the mindset.
Definitely a story for another day. Now, I want to hear about your babies. Which book was your first book here, between Keep the Passion as well as Dare to Rise?
Dare to Rise was the first one. It came in 2019. It was launched on the 10th of September. In this book, I'm saying to those people who feel that they're severely disadvantaged and they have probably given up and they've accepted the status quo, I'm saying dare to rise. When I say dare, I'm saying take the risk.
Yes.
Because no one is guaranteeing you that they're going to help you. There's no guarantee even that if you stand, you will be sustained. But I'm saying, nevertheless, take the risk.
Okay, and then when was the second one published, if that one was 2019?
This one was released this year. It's a fresh baby.
Congratulations, Thuli.
Thank you. Keep the Passion is a story of pursuit, relentless pursuit. Because sometimes we start on things and then somewhere along the way, challenges start to show up. COVID showed up on us. COVID made us realize that we're not as strong as we thought we were. And this is the book for those who felt hit by COVID, for those who felt the challenges of losing money, losing jobs, losing family members. The flame of life can die inside you. And this is the book that says, keep the passion. Find a way to let the wind blow beneath your wings and propel you further.
Even though you feel like your wings are now, letting go of this life thing. So I want to know the inspiration behind your writing, right? Because that's two books very close to each other. I know lots of authors who have like 3 years apart, not because the book is not burning inside them, it's just that they're not having the inspiration to put it down in words. So I want to know your inspiration behind writing.
I think writing is a discipline. You decide if you want to write or if you want to postpone. And a lot of us are caught up in the sickness of postponing. We just feel it's going to be easier tomorrow. So what I do is I sit down.
Yes.
I decide, when's my next book coming? And then I sit down. Every day I sit down. If I write a sentence, good enough. If I write a paragraph, good enough. If I write a chapter, praise God. But I'm a writer, so I write.
Okay. And you also sound like a speaker. Not all writers are speakers or the other way around, but you are definitely both. So I want you now to take this moment to speak live upon somebody who's given up. I've been trying. Yes, you're talking about, making a living out of what you have, where you are, in the situation you're in. Stop looking at the excuses and what is not available. But I really have tried, Thuli, and I don't know what to do anymore. How can you revive hope in such a life?
Guess what? I'm that person who tried. I graduated in 2001 with a diploma in education. I didn't get a permanent job until last year. 2019, I got my permanent job. 20 years later,
yes,
I'm that person who gave up and then resuscitated themselves and moved themselves forward. I was my own support circle for the longest time. I was my own motivator for the longest time. Because some people, people have a very short span of concentration. People will support you, but if you don't seem to move,
It's like, okay, we're done. Next.
did what we could, please, let's look at the next project. And I was that project that many tried to support and they eventually gave up on, until I looked inside me and I realized that God has given us everything I need for life and godliness. If you want to live successfully, God has given a provision. If you want to live godly, God has given a provision. It's all inside you. So maybe you need to take time away from telling the story of how hard it is.
Yes, definitely.
And journey into yourself and see what you have in that treasure trove and begin to work on it one step at a time. It may not make a million. I got my first royalties for this music. It was $0.01. And it translates to 17 cents in rands.
Wow.
But I didn't stop. I went to the next album.
Yes.
When the next album came, I got my royalties recently again and I laughed my lungs out. It was 22 cents in dollars. And it translates to something like 3.15 in
It's a move up.
It's many percentages up, man. I did more than 100, 200, 300%. I am motivating myself. I'm not waiting for somebody to say, come, let's help you. People don't have that much sympathy. In this world, it's man eat man, dog eat dog. You survive on your own. If you're waiting for somebody to pick you up, you may wait for a long time. But get started where you are. Do the groundwork, which is what this book is about. It's about doing the groundwork. Some people, you have helpers waiting, but you are still so fragmented, so confused, so broken that they can't even help you. So do the groundwork so that when somebody comes, there's shape, there's form. Like cleaning yourself up and dressing like you're ready for a job.
Can you please tell us of your future book projects coming and your current music that is available?
There's so many projects. The plan is to release a book every year.
Oh, hey.
That's the plan. Hey, when God sets you free, man, there's nothing as amazing as living free and finding yourself. So the next project's gonna come. I'll keep watching my social media. You'll know I don't want to preempt because titles are, some people can steal titles. So I'm not gonna release my title, but there's a next book coming, 12 chapters, 12 motivational messages, 12 poems, 12 prayers, 12 titles.
The book of 12.
12 is a very foundational number. So that's what I'm about. Setting the foundation right. Because if the foundation is not right, it doesn't matter how high you build, it's going to collapse. So the music we are having right now is Song for My Soul, my latest CD. Please download it and enjoy it with your friends and family. It's something that's going to soothe your heart, particularly in the season that we just going through with the diseases and death and losses and people suffering financially. This is the message that's going to lift you up, particularly the Dumisanima Africa. This is a message that says use what you have and build yourself up from there.
And Thuli, with a heaviness in my heart, but a smile on my face because it's been an absolute pleasure, I have to let you know that we've come to the end, but I want you to leave our viewers with means of reaching you so that if they want to book you for speaking engagements or they want to have discussion with you to help them move forward or to get access of your books as well as your music and poetry, where can they reach you?
Please follow me on all my social media. It's Thuli Mashazi with a double Z. Thuli Mashazi on all my social media. It's Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. It's Thuli Mashazi. I also have a website. It's www.thulimashazi.co.za. There's an online store right there. You can order the books and the music from that store. But the two books are also available on Amazon as ebooks. And the music is also available on all digital stores. I look forward to connecting with you.
And I've had a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for being with us, Thuli. It's been an absolute honor.
Thank you so much. It's my pleasure.
And there you have it. That was my guest for today, Miss Thuli Mashazi. What an inspiration. But don't make that mistake. Do join me again next week, same time, same place for another power-packed episode. And do remember to check out our repeats. That's bright and early Wednesday mornings at 1 a.m. on this very channel. And a repeat at a time that suits you. Just subscribe to our YouTube channel for Marketplace. That is Charles Ngobeni on YouTube. And I'm sure that that's a decision you are not going to regret. Thank you so much for watching Marketplace with Charles Ngobeni, who is Ketiwe Phakathi for today, brought to you by Art of Skincare. And do remember to get in touch with us. That is charlesngobeni.com. And you may also follow our Instagram, that is Charles_Ngobeni, as well as our Facebook, which is Charles Ngobeni. And to get a hold of myself, my Katie, that is my Katie Speaks Life on Facebook. Until next time, goodbye and God bless.
Hello everyone, my name is Cherise. I come from Victoria.
My name is Ruta Jai. I'm from Nigeria.
My name is Satara Khan. I'm from Port Elizabeth.
My name is Pastor Mashani Mpahlele. My wife and I are pastoring a church in Midrand, South Africa.
I'm a second-year student at KBSM.
KBSM has truly transformed our spiritual life and our marriage life as well.
The Bible School has really helped me a lot.
I'd like to welcome you and encourage you to take the step to come and enroll with Kingdom Bible School of Ministry.
I'm encouraging you today to sign up.
We encourage you to join this Bible school.
And please remember, it's free.
Dr. Abraham S. Raja here. You've heard it all from so many different people. What are you waiting for? Join our free international Bible school today.